Hello everybody and welcome to Taff's Word on Football. Now, I know this is a primarily a Newport County channel, but I do try to bring in a few sort of debatable and discussion topics surrounding all of football. Obviously we do have fans outside of Newport County who subscribe and quite frequent the channel. So we try to keep some things as neutral as we can, and what could be known more neutral now than to determine my opinion on who are the 5 greatest Premier League teams of all time. Now, a lot of people are debating this at the moment, so I thought I would throw my 2 cents in, or should we say 5 picks in, to basically justify why I think these teams are ranked in the order that they are. Now, before anybody says it, yes, I do like Liverpool too, but I'm showing absolutely no bias in this whatsoever. Now, for me, if someone's looking who the best Premier League team is, then the primary focus should be on their Premier League performance. And for me, numbers don't lie. So I think points accumulation is a very, very important part of that. So I would prioritise points accumulation over the least games lost. So I think Arsenal fans will probably know in which direction this is going now. But then secondarily, I would throw in what they're doing outside of the Premier League. So primarily, I think you're going to look at your points. I think secondarily, you're going to look at what other competitions you've done well in that season, and then I think what you're going to look at then is sort of records broken within that season, or whether you've managed to pull off an unbelievable feat. Obviously, that might be refreshing for Arsenal fans, because not losing a single game in a whole Premier League season is an unbelievable feat. But then the Man City Centurions, also an unbelievable feat. The records broken by Liverpool this season, all unbelievable feat. I'm just going to go through it one by one, and I'm going to start from 5th to 1st, and I'm going to justify it for my own reasons. Like I said, I'm a numbers person more than things of somewhat significance, like being unbeaten. So that's why I put the Arsenal Invincibles as 5th. Like I said, I'm doing it primarily on the points that you got in that Premier League season, because for me, winning more games is more important to me than losing less. Because at the end of the day, you win a game, you get 3 points. You draw a game, you only get 1. So every time you draw a game, you're dropping 2 points. I know if you lose a game, you're dropping 3, but drawing a game, you drop 2. So you're still dropping 66% of the points that are up for grabs by drawing a game. So drawing games is not something to shite about. During the Invincible season, Arsenal drew 12 games. So if you look at it, 12 games, they dropped 24 points from those games. So that's a lot of points to drop, basically, on draws. I've seen teams drawing a lot of games who've only lost a couple, who've lost the league. Like Liverpool in 2010 lost the league because they drew too many games. Arsenal drew a lot of games. So I'm not dampening anything here, because they still finished on 90 points, which is anyone who hits 90 points plus, for me, is a very, very impressive Premier League team. So Arsenal finished dead on 90 points, and of course they were unbeaten. But the one thing where I'm going to give them that extra bit of credit for is it wasn't just those 38 games. It was, they were unbeaten for 49 over 3 seasons. That a record that went over 3 seasons. That in itself is just as impressive as going a full season, or it's even more impressive because they're 38 games unbeaten during a regular Premier League season, 49. So between the 2 seasons either side of 2003-2004, there was a further 11 games that they managed to avoid defeat in, and it was a very impressive Man United team of 2004-2005 who ended up beating them to actually take away that record and stopping it from going to 50. I think that was the season Wayne Rooney started to light up Old Trafford. So You know, a very, very impressive feat, and to be the 5th best Premier League team, considering the first Premier League season was 1992-93. So the Premier League has been going for the better part of 3 decades. So within 3 decades to be 5th, you know, I think you still got to take that as, yeah, we've done good. Right then, so 4th place, Manchester United, 1998-99. Now, the reason why they're not higher than 4th for me is because they only finished that season on 79 points, which is one of the lowest returns for a Premier League winning team. You know, one of the very lowest of all time. I think even Leicester finished on 81 points, which was more than that. So Leicester beat that Premier League team. So if you're doing it just on points alone, you've got to put Leicester in there within your top 5. Unfortunately, Leicester did not make my top 5. There's a special mention for Leicester, though, for winning the Premier League in the way that they did. I think it's the only team who managed to do it without spending a lot of money. You know, if you look at every other Premier League winning team, every other Premier League winning team has had the resource to fund the team that won the Premier League. Leicester are the only ones who've ever not had the resource, in theory, to fund a Premier League winning team, but went and won it anyway. So a special mention for Leicester, but you have to give full credit to some of these fantastic teams that we've seen in the Premier League era. So the Man United team of 98-99, you might think, well, they only finished on 79 points then, so if that's the case, why are they in there? Well, who can forget that they are the treble-winning team of 1999. They won the FA Cup and the Champions League in that season. You know, that team was absolutely phenomenal. I think, personally, there has been better Manchester United teams within the Premier League, but the fact that they won that treble that season, for me, they had to get in there somewhere. And I think Arsenal didn't win anything else other than the Premier League that season. So they drew 12 and didn't win any other competitions. Manchester United may have finished on 11 points less, but they won 2 massive competitions to go with an already massive Premier League. So 3 massive cup and title wins. Absolutely unbelievable. So they had to get in that top 5 somewhere. But then, like I said, I'm going through. I got another 3 teams to go through now, and I intend to justify these 3 teams and why they were there. So Chelsea, 2004-2005, Jose Mourinho's Chelsea. Chelsea in 04-05 were absolutely unstoppable. They were immense. They absolutely kicked ass, and they ran away with that with that title that season. 95 points, like I said, was the record up until Man City broke it. So Chelsea, they also won a League Cup that season, and they made it to the Champions League semi-final. So I think full credit has to go to them for an absolutely unbelievable Premier League season. 95 points is, without doubt, phenomenal. Like I said, anyone who hits 90 points plus has done a fantastic job in the Premier League that season. 95 is a magnificent return. So I think Chelsea, you look at it, the points, like I said, primarily it's going to be down to points. Chelsea, like I said, the third, I think it's the 3rd highest Premier League champions return of all time. They got to get a place in this top 5, and because they completely outdone Arsenal and Man United in that, and they won another competition with it, that's why I put them in 3rd. 2nd is the recent champions Liverpool 2019-20, finishing on 99 points, and like I said, unbelievable. That's phenomenal, and I got every confidence that if it wasn't for this pandemic, that they would have surpassed the 100 points, and for me would have been the best club team or Premier League team of all time. But like I said, they've only got 2nd place. It'll be worth adding that they won a Cup Winners' Cup and a European Super Cup along with that. But I don't hold too much significance on that. The Club World Cup, the reason why I wanted to mention that is because it was 2 games. They had to travel, and then they came back, and their closest challenger at the time, Leicester, they went to their closest challenger and absolutely thumped them 4-0, when everybody thought, they're going to come back all tired, and, they're not going to be as good. They for me, brought with them one of the greatest Premier League performances, single match performances that I've ever seen. Not the greatest, there's been too many to signify that as the greatest, but it was one of the best Premier League performances I've ever seen. and they've gone on and they just carried on winning games. The shock happened at Watford, and then the pandemic kicked in, and for me they weren't the same team following the pandemic, but they still went on and won the league legitimately, and still gave a fantastic return of 99 points. So I said that's why Liverpool for me a second. Then obviously Man City, the Centurions, they finished on 100 points in the 2017-18 season. 100 points, that's phenomenal. You know, that's like unthought of. No one ever thought Man City would, anyone would ever reach 100 points in the Premier League. The Premier League is, for me, is one of the most competitive leagues in world football, one of the toughest leagues, and I think all 20 teams in the Premier League are strong in their own right. You always see a team that gets relegated. Every single relegated team has always managed to get a win against a club they wasn't expecting to beat. They always manage to get a win against a top club. So, that just shows how strong the Premier League actually is. And I said most recently there has been a lot of good teams fighting in the Premier League, to obviously battle with those teams above. And like this season, like Sheffield United, Leicester, Wolves, Newcastle are starting to look a lot better. West Ham have had their spells, Everton have had their spells, and there's already a big six as it is anyway. So there's two phenomenal teams that are always going to miss out on Champions League football. That's how competitive the Premier League is at the moment. And for Man City to go and get 100 points and win a League Cup in that season, for me, hands down, Man City for me. The 2017-18 team, Man City are number one. Liverpool, the 2019-20 season, number 2. Chelsea, 2004-2005 are number 3. Man United, 98-99 are number 4. And then the Arsenal Invincibles are 5th. I reckon I'm going to get a lot of backlash on this one, especially from Arsenal fans, possibly even from Man United for the 4th place. But if it wasn't for the 79, if they'd have hit like 85 plus, I'd have put them above Chelsea. It's as simple as that. I would have done. But 79 points wasn't a great return for the champions of England. But they still won the league, though. We've got to give them credit for that. They still won the league, and then they went on and won 2 great, magnificent trophies where they had a full season campaign to do it. It wasn't like Liverpool where they had 1 game of the European Super Cup and 2 games of the Club World Cup. Obviously, Man United would have played a full season of Champions League and a full season of FA Cup along with the Premier League season, which could have been a detriment to their league performance and why they only had 79 points. But the fact that they finished with 79 points, you're looking at the best Premier League team. The Premier League performance has to take priority for me, so that's why Man United are in 4th. Chelsea had to get a mention because they were phenomenal back then. And then the most recent Liverpool and Man City teams have been like not just best in the Premier League, but best in the world. And I put Man City as favourites to win the Champions League this season. That's how good they are. But there we go. At the very least, I hope this at least starts a healthy debate, on where these teams should fit. And if you have got something to say about it, then feel free to drop it in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think about, obviously, what I've just offered you. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Cheerio for now, and as always, up the county. Many thanks for watching the latest content on the Amber Army channel. Please make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content, both for the neutral football fan and also plenty of Newport County. Even more Newport County content can be found on the club's iFollow channel on the link above. It is just £4.49 per month to subscribe to that service. And those of you feeling extra generous can also support us on Patreon on the link at the bottom there. That would be a monthly donation of your choice. Thank you again, make sure you've subscribed, and as always, up the county.